Good morning to one and all. I'm Bharat Mo from Indian MIS Uttar Pradesh. Going to explain about the security in the designs of operating system. The mainly design of operating systems contain some of the securities. Mainly, it is an simplicity of designs, layer trust, and kernelized designs, and it has securities and add-on enforcement by seldom structured and designed implementations, and it contains secure design principles, trusted systems, and so on. Mainly, it is an exploit author capitalizes on this complexity by experimenting on located interface. Mainly, it mismatches and function no longer called an table of interrupts handled by the forgotten device drivers by the literacy decades. An operating system it could process mainly on malicious code which attached to the designed operating systems. And the principles of this sense mainly in model usually couple designs in opportunities for the attackers, and the simplicity of designs mainly it is an interruptions on context switches and minimizes mainly in computations on interactions between the attackers and the designers. The security enforcement in this is mainly an difficulty to design, and it is responsible for the design operating systems. And the layer we know about the trustworthiness and access rights of the process mainly judges processes proximately to the centers on an equivalent view in the buildings. Mainly it closes to the center or bottom of the sensitive tasks assigned to the lower floors, and the logical separations is most applicable to layer designs in this trust. Mainly, it enforces separations on outer or higher layers of operating systems. Mainly, the layer properly encapsulates those things between functionality to higher levels. And another justification for this layer is damage control, and which is considered by an humans. Two examples of risk. It conventionally non-hierarchical designed by humans which having hardware failures, software flaws, and unexpected conditions on the supposedly irrelevant on security portion. And mainly system designs means confident that any given function has no security effects. The kernelized designs in this chapter mainly on operating system. It performs lower level functions in standard operating system design. That kernel implements operating systems such as synchronizations, inter-process communication, and message passing and interrupt handling. Mainly, the kernel is also called as nucleus or core of this operating system. And this designing operating systems mainly was built by the kernel and Gerald Popek, Charles Klein. In this security kernel, which enforces and mechanisms of the entire operating system, mainly of awares the hardwares and operating systems of the computing system. And mainly it contained security kernels at Stan Amels, which is designed by the security kernels in AME 83. And mainly several good designs reason by which security functions may be isolated in a process. Mainly it prefers separation isolating security mechanism from both rest of the operating systems, and user space makes it easier to protect those mechanisms from the penetration by the operating system. Mainly, we discussed this on the chapter 3, and this implementation security kernels may degrade system performance because they are another layer interface between user programs and operating system resources. It implements on security functions correctly. In some cases, security kernels can be quite large, and the reference monitor mainly access to objects like AND 72, like AM, LAM 71. Mainly, it reference monitors on, we decided like chapter 2, we know that, and enforcing this, the expressly security policies may be accessed by this allowed process. By the reference monitor is mainly necessary on piece of the code which access control for devices, files, memory, interprocess communication, and kind of the objects, other kinds of many devices like CD, hardwares, etc. And mainly reference monitor acts like a brick wall around the operating system, which trusted software to mediate access by subjects or to objects. Mainly, the operating systems or trusted software, it mainly should be greater for than trusted softwares. Between the reference monitor, like tamper proof, which is impossible to weaken or disable any like attackers malwares. The unbypassable invokance when access to the any object, it requires subjected to a many testers like completes many reference like other parts of the security in an identification parameters. The other security parts interact with the reference monitor like receiving data from the reference monitor or providing with data it needs to operate. The security enforcement must be correct and complete in this operating system. Like the secure design principles are least privileges, economy of mechanisms, open designs, complete mediations, permissible based like separations of privileges, easy of use. Like trusted system mainly hopes is trust with the little justifications like conventions evidence to justify user for further discussions of the meaning of the word. And mainly the TCB designs mainly it's on trusted computing base, which is alternative like for trusted systems. When we depend on the TCB, mainly it programs to write the non-TCB parts to impair the correct security policy enforcements. Mainly our trust security of the whole system is depends on the TCB, and we focus between the TCB between non-TCB. It operates a concurrent our effort to ensure the correctness of the TCBs. And the mainly TCB, which security enforcement could depends mainly on primitive files such as security access control database and identification and authentication data. And the mainly non-TCBs mainly are user applications, user request interpreter, user process coordination, and user input or output devices, and the procedures where they use the user process and the creation or deletion of them, user of objects and directories, extended types like segmentation, tagging, memory management, etc. And then TCB mainly move on the primitive input devices like basic operations, clocks, timing, interrupt handling, hardware register, memory capabilities. The mainly TCP implements hardware to the core and then operating systems to the outside of the core, and then operating system for sharing and access control and authentication functions like outside of the operating system's kernel, and then user tasks may be outside of this operating system. And mainly the secure startups for this is an protection capabilities are fully functional to their limitations. During their startup, their threat is also lowered because their users are not yet active and network connections have not been established. Mainly, it requires developers to demonstrate when the system starts and the securities functions are working properly for no effects remains from any previous system sessions. And then object receive reuse, it's mainly on malicious user for large amount of space when they scavenge of for sensitive data by reading before writing. This kind of attacks is called an for object reuse. For object sanitization ensure no leakage of data, mainly subjects to memory object by another subject. Like the common criteria mainly we go through like functionality, lower assurance product might be tubeless value, mainly develops received a market scheme should not block the inventions. Mainly then shift occurred almost as soon as the Orange Book was adopted as a defense department standard, unfortunately coinciding with the risk of personal computing and networks. And mainly the year 2011, it certified products like 264 in 2012, 302 certified products like 2000 from all years 1999 to 2014, it certified 1991 products. Like evaluated product means the access control 83 certified product, like biometric authentication is certified 3 certified products, and the boundary protections may have to 122 certified products. Database management system has 46 certified products, and network and the network devices mainly on 2003 it certified 203 certified product. Operating systems like it has an 104 certified products, which is a partial list of the year mainly based by the researchers. And next we turn to the fatal attacks, which is an operating system. The rootkit, figuratively, a rootkit is a malicious code that gets beneath an operating system in a layer between it and hardware. So positioned mainly, rootkit can circumvent or disable alternate work with an operating system. It ensures that which control an operating system and imagine a promiscuous street for computing system security. Thank